Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to another episode on the Money Counsel. I'm your host Adnan Bazir, and today we'll be discussing the relevance of Sharia investing and wealth creation as a faith-based investor. I do have in the studio with us a special guest from our mutual investment group by the name of Maher Jakut. He's an investment analyst with a number of years of experience in the investment space. And the context of the discussion is really around the seminar that I recently attended in conjunction with Awqaf SA, where Old Mutual, the fund manager Salih Salam, positioned wealth preservation as part of wealth creation and understanding in Islam. So I'd like to give over to Maher. Assalamu alaikum, Maher, and welcome to the Money Counsel.
Assalamu alaikum, Adnan, and shukran for having me. And assalamu alaikum to the viewers.
Great to have you here, Maher. So being part of the investment team at Old Mutual Investment Group and managing portions of the Old Mutual Al Barakah equity and balance fund,
yes,
that does come with a big challenge.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I mean, luckily I have Salih Salam with 22 years of experience there to assist and guide me.
Yes. So we'll obviously look at understanding the evolution of the Sharia investing space.
Yes.
But I think just to create some context for the viewers is to look at the from a Sharia perspective and the understanding in Islam.
Yeah.
And a couple of episodes we looked at this whole concept of wealth and what money means to us and so on. So perhaps looking at wealth preservation and what it means to us in Islam.
Yes, absolutely. So there's Sharia compliance investing, if we can start there.
Yes.
I mean, we can really dissect that sentence into Sharia, compliance, and investing. And if we start with the Sharia, there are five necessities for success. Ultimate success is what we call falah.
Yes.
So what are these five necessities? Scholars have deemed this term to be maqasid al-Sharia, right? And these are really the objectives to get to that success. Okay? So, but in understanding that context, I think you need to look at that maqasid al-Sharia as one, to adapt it, and two, not to violate it. Okay? So what are these five necessities? What are these five principles? And the first one is the preservation of religion, Islam. Right? That Allah Ta'ala is one, and the Nabi Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is the messenger. Right? So it's the preservation of religion.
Yes.
The second one is the preservation of life itself. Now, and I'm sure Adnan, you're well aware with the hadith that is narrated, where it said that if you kill another human being, it's like killing the entire humanity.
Yes.
And vice versa, if you save another human being's life, it's like you have saved the entire humanity. So life itself is very important, the preservation of life.
Sacred, yeah.
Yes. The third principle is really the preservation of the mind. Right? Why is that important? You and I, we have the mind to make good choices. Yes. To educate, right? One of those good choices can be not to drink alcohol, because that intoxicates the body. Okay, so that's the third one, preservation of the mind. The fourth one is your progeny, your family, right? So firstly, to start the family, if you can, and to nafaqa them, to look after them, and to protect them. And then that brings us to the fifth necessity, which is what we really had to talk about, is the preservation of wealth.
Yes.
And just thinking about that on my way here, I was thinking that, there's a narration that the Prophet ﷺ said that it's better to leave your heirs with wealth than in poverty. Right? So that talks really to, and one could say, yes, but maybe that's perhaps don't take debt and leave your family with a burden. Yes, it does, but it also talks to building up wealth, creating wealth. Another thing is that what is also narrated is that the Prophet said that we should invest your wealth so that zakah doesn't eat it up. Right? So yes, as Muslims we have to pay zakah.
Yes.
But grow that.
Have enough, yes.
Have enough and grow it.
For livelihood and to give charity.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you know, I think that is really important to get the concept of those five principles.
What comes to my mind is that all of these aspects that we're touching on should be seen as one, in sync, that it's working all together. Preservation of life, intellect, knowledge, wealth creation, procreation, family, etc., etc.
And then also another thing is that those transactions, and in that preservation of wealth, is also that these transactions need to be lawful.
Yes, 100%.
You know, we will be asked one day, how have you made your money, and how have you spent your money? Or rather, how you've made your wealth, and how have you spent your wealth?
Look, another fallacy or something that's frowned upon in our communities is that if you are wealthy, it's you know, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. So to my understanding, or at least just understanding, you know, that wealth does play a role. It can be a tool in your life or in the deen you want, if you want to call it that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when you look at another individual, if I can start there, and that person is wealthy, right? There's sometimes the reason that the sheikhs and these imams or what we hear and what we take out of the lesson is very important, right? The important thing is to take the positivity out of it. And when you basically, when I hear that, I think about the attachment to wealth of the heart, where actually wealth must be a tool in your hand, right? So if you look at another individual, and sometimes there's this term called hasad, right? In the broader sense, it's jealousy. But there are times where you can be hasad.
Of course.
And the first one is if that Allah Ta'ala has bestowed wealth upon you, that individual spends it in the way of Allah Ta'ala.
For the pleasure of Allah, yes.
There we go. And then the knowledge is that if Allah Ta'ala has given you knowledge, that you also do that in the way of...
Use it in the positive.
Use it in the path of
way.
Allah Ta'ala. Yes. So there's those two aspects, and I think that if we take a step back, and we look at the time of Nabi Ibrahim, right, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Nabi Ibrahim, he was a wealthy man, right? And in those days, yes, how was wealth perhaps looked at or counted for, measured, is really that he had a lot of cattle, a lot of livestock, right? If you look at the Rasul through Sayyidina Khadija, he encouraged trade. He said there was barakah in trade. And then Sayyidina Khadija herself, in today's terms, she would have been a multi-millionaire as a female trader. You know, and then you also look at Sayyidina Abu Bakr and Sayyidina Uthman. Sayyidina Abu Bakr was a silk trader, right? And he was very wealthy. Sayyidina Uthman, you'd think of, just to put it into context, he was like an exporter, importer, bringing goods in and out of Makkah. So you know, and they spent their wealth also in the way of Allah Ta'ala. So that's...
And surely, if it wasn't through their efforts of using their wealth as a tool in the cause of Allah, for Islam, and to propagate and so on, preserve the deen, we wouldn't have been here where we are today.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, on that, for me, it seems that it's quite important to understand the context that wealth plays in one's life, and how to use it as a tool for succession, as you say, wealth creation, doing charity, and I think each of us also play a role as being a trustee. Would you not agree?
Yes, absolutely. So we are custodians of our wealth. Right now I mentioned. So if Allah Ta'ala has given us that wealth, let's not have that wealth in our heart. You see, money isn't the issue. It's the love of money.
Yes.
That's the issue.
Quite important.
So as long as we are using that wealth in the way of Allah to bring others around us also up, then alhamdulillah we've done our job.
So I mean, coming back to the context of Sharia investing, and just before we conclude and go for an ad break, is maybe just to look at this concept of Sharia investing and the evolution in South Africa.
Yes, look, I'm not sure how much time we have left before the ad break, but this all started in SA in 1992, and I do understand that prior to that there weren't any vehicles, but now there are, right? And if I can just touch on, in 1992, Shams Pather, right, which I really think is a legend, because the Al Baraka, the old Mutual Al Baraka Equity Fund, exists because he had started it in 1992.
Okay.
And pure coincidence is actually that his son is actually the compliance officer on that fund at the Old Mutual Investment Group.
Wow.
Right, but
so he's continuing the legacy.
Yeah. But be that as it may, there were no standards.
Yes.
And now there are standards which are put into play where the ulama and the scholars have basically sat down and said, these are the principles that we need to follow. Yes. These principles are called the IOFI principles, which is, IOFI stands for the Accounting and Auditing Organization for Islamic Financial Institutions.
Mahir will continue on the evolution of Sharia investing just after the ad break.